There we go. Okay, fantastic. Okay, brilliant. So, Suzanne, could you give us a sort of 60-second intro as to you and your experience, please? Thank you.
Yes, of course. So I'm a senior account executive at Equinix. Basically, we were selling data center solutions and digital services, and I'm helping customers to increase revenue, growing as a business, but also driving greater efficiencies within those businesses. And been doing this for the last 25 years plus, I think. So I've got experience in the technology sector over that period of time.
Yeah, we're both members of that club for sure.
Seasoned.
Seasoned, exactly right, seasoned. Which brings me to the next point. Obviously, you're very experienced in this area of technology and how it can affect business. So, if I may put you on the spot a little bit, so with all that experience and support of big companies and that kind of context, what was it specifically, if you can remember, that made you reach out for some mentoring?
Yeah, so basically it was through the pandemic, selling has changed, not just from business to consumer, but also business to business. And what I noticed, as I said earlier, I've been in this industry for a long time, so I needed to step up and look at other channels, how I sell. So looking at social media, looking at digital channels. We have now in the workplace the next generation coming in, so the 40 plus. We're all used to social selling, used to not necessarily picking up the phone, but using the social media to educate themselves, but also being sold to or looking for new solutions. So I had to step up and really embrace social selling or social media selling. And that's why I reached out to you, as I thought, you probably, know where I am at and can help me with embracing that.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. You're right, sales has changed absolutely manifestly over the last 3 years. That said, and I think we might have had this conversation before, but actually the process of selling, which is getting your message in front of your customer at the right time, that actually hasn't changed. It's just the way that you do it and the way that you interrelate, which has changed over the last sort of 3 years. And I think it's that's probably driven the inquiry, if you like. Okay, brilliant. So if you'd have based on what you just said, if you'd have given yourself a score out of 10, one sort of not confident at all, 10, I've got this, where would you score yourself at prior to speaking?
Yeah, I definitely think I was at the lower end, so I would probably score myself at two or three, because I was really uncomfortable with, for instance, using video messaging. Those kind of things I felt very uncomfortable with. You're putting yourself out there, and you don't know how you come across on camera. It's those kind of things, but also using something like LinkedIn, and using that to prospect and use it in the right way so people actually do respond to you. So yeah, I would say probably a 3. That's where I would score myself.
All right, understood. Well, if you were 10, we wouldn't be on this chat. So I kind of get that. And having been through the process, I suppose, 6 sessions over about 3 months, where would you score yourself now?
I would score myself probably an 8 or 8.5. And I think the rest of this is really down to get to the 10. I need to now create a routine and a discipline to really see all the benefits out of it. There's been, times where where I didn't reach out, for instance, for a week to anybody, and that also affected the numbers. But also practicing more the things like the video messaging, those kind of things. And once that's become a discipline and a routine, then I think it will certainly go up to the 9 or 10s.
Brilliant. Well, look forward to seeing that. Okay, Jolly. Well, you've answered my next question as well, which was what we need to focus on kind of going forward. So thank you for that. So in terms of is it just about LinkedIn that you think you've benefited from? Or is there anything outside of that where you?
Oh, absolutely. It's around this thinking about your own brand. I think we always forget about creating a brand, but also changing with the times. As I said, and I say this again, been in this game for a long time. So you need to change with the times, have a different approach, but also look at your branding. What is of interest to you? Sustainability for me is a big thing. Being out in nature is another big thing. So change with that and change your profile. And especially if you look at LinkedIn and using LinkedIn, you really should be looking at, and I haven't looked at that for a long time. My LinkedIn profile was like, I haven't done anything on that for years. It really made me think about how I put myself out there and what I need to change. Again, still work in progress, but already I'm seeing, colleagues of mine going like, oh, you changed your LinkedIn profile. How did you do that? Why did you do that? So it's all of a sudden, there's a recognition that, I'm not rebranding, but moving with the times.
Yeah, well, which is, and that's the one constant in all our lives is change, right? So to use that old adage. And in terms of, are there any specifics, without breaching any confidences, of course, but are there any specific examples where you feel it's moved you forward in an account? So confidence is one thing, but actually results are really
absolutely. And I think going forward, we will see them more, but alone from a pipeline point of view, it has increased so it's quite difficult to put it into numbers, but my pipeline probably increased by roughly about 45 to 50%. Which is, it's a great step. And I think if I would have, and that's probably criticism on my part, if I would have done it consistently, and that's where the discipline again comes in, it will grow, but it probably would have achieved a greater pipeline.
Okay, well, consistency is something, frankly, we with the many competing priorities that we've got, the consistency is really hard to do. It's almost like the holy grail. So
yes.
What about in terms of how you use your company to help you sell? I'm not particularly fishing for stuff here if it hasn't, if you haven't thought any differently in that, but have you thought in terms of how you use the resources available to you internally to the company to get in that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have teams internally who help us to put messaging together for customers specifically. So if it's industry, the particular markets, particular solutions, I'm trying to stay away more from the solution, but rather concentrate on the market, what's important to the market. And we have people who can help us to go like, okay, this is what's going on from a trend point of view in construction or in recruitment. So, for instance, in one particular, with one particular customer, we put a message together around recruitment and the information we have in our global trend survey around what the market requires from a talent point of view in technology. And message that to a number of people within that company, and actually got quite a lot of traction and actually got a meeting out of it, and it resulted in some pipeline. So it's really using whatever I have at hand is using that and making it very specific to the customer. It's really important because there are hundreds of salespeople out there in technology who talking all about digital transformation or digital services, but not specific to that customer situation, to that customer market. We also have a function which helps us with finding contacts. And again, been using them to help me to find the right contacts in accounts, which I then can take that message and do it very targeted to, if it's data analysts, if it's architects, or whoever we want to particularly prospect in those accounts.
That's great feedback. You've sort of reminded me that one of the ways the business world, and in particular the sales world, has worked is that the right message is really good. But if it's a similar message to the rest of the world that's trying to bombard your particular prospects, it's just going to get lost. And so you have to have the right message, but packaged in a way which is different. And using video, I think, was a bit of a breakthrough for you. And I really hope it's positively impacted both the way you feel about confidence going online and doing this stuff, and actually the way it's received by prospects and potential customers, which is really where it's at. So that's fantastic. So and the personalization of message, where prospects are just inundated, and ourselves actually, because I don't know about you, but I get sales approaches all the time. So it's interesting to see what happens. So it's almost as though we're trying to turn everything off now, and we're only letting stuff through which piques our interest somehow.
Absolutely.
That's one of the ways, and we can't be that different. If that's happening to us, it's got to be happening to our networks as well.
No, absolutely. And it's I always take myself as an example. It's like, how do I want to be approached? What interests me? And that's why I don't read just anything, because there's so much out there these days. And it just needs to be specific to that. So I always take myself as an example, how I want to be treated. That's how I like to treat my prospects and my clients.
I think that's part of that personal branding that we kind of mentioned earlier on in this session. So that's fantastic. Okay, good. Right, I'm just looking down my sort of questions here, and actually we've actually hit all the questions really natural. But first of all, thank you for that. That was a great thing about working with salespeople is generally stay on message, and it flows really nicely. So fantastic. Thank you for that. Is there anything else? Was there anything for you, first of all, that didn't work quite so well for you?
No, I found every interaction really useful to me, and there isn't anything I would change about. The approach you take is very much from open, professional, always giving good feedback, and driving everything in the right direction. So from my point of view, there isn't really anything I could think. There's nothing I would change about the last 3 months.
Okay.
It's, I think, more my part where I should have pushed a little bit more and making sure I get that consistency quicker and make it a real discipline of my day to day, the things we have put in place. But no, otherwise, it's been a great engagement. I learned a lot. It made me think a lot. And it made me think, as I said earlier, about my own brand. Who am I, and what do I stand for, and what do I want to get across to people? And I think the great thing for me is like, I don't come across as badly as I thought I do. Which is quite interesting, you know, on when you reflect, when you watch the videos yourself, you actually go like, no, it's actually not that bad. So thanks for giving me that confidence.
Fantastic. Well, if that's all you walk away with, that's fantastic too. So, you know, I think which and it's not written down here, but the only other question that I've got, the last question, is that it's something I'm seeing more of. Individuals, this won't go out, by the way, I'm just interested. Let me just,
Yeah.
I'm going to record, but it's not going out. You're paying for this out of your own pocket, and you know,
Yeah.
as you know, I'm not cheap, so thank you. Even more thanks than a corporate cash. If however that translates. What do I see it with companies with large sales teams selling tech? Do they not provide this sort of level of expertise, or do you feel you'd more comfortable having an independent sort of?
So so other companies, some companies do, some companies don't. And with Equinix at the moment, what I found, so I had a long conversation with one of our training and development guys, and what Andrew said to me at the moment is they're focusing a lot on the entry level. So our sales development, but also they're focusing very much on the end. So people who are moving into sales just now.
Okay.
And what I needed is something just above that. I know all the, you know, the Scotsman, the implied need, or the things, I can't remember what all the sales techniques were called, but I've got all the basics, and I always fall back on the basics. When things go pear-shaped, you always naturally fall back into that. But what I needed this going into a new sales motion for me. And for me, this is a new sales motion, you know, selling digitally over social media.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I had the skills, and that's why I looked at for somebody who's experienced in that area, who can help me to fill that gap. And that's not something which we have available at the moment.
Understood.
But I know that other salespeople who've been doing this for a long time in my organization could definitely benefit from this. Definitely. And that's why, as I said, to our learning and development, we should be not just looking at the bottom end, but we really should be looking at, because we want to move our salespeople into a different. It's a lot of people come from selling data center space.
Yeah.
But we need to move up, because we've got, you know, where we're going is around digital services, which is it's a consultative sales play. There's some people who've been selling data center space for a very, very long time, and they find it difficult to move up. And with selling digital services, you also need to embrace selling digital in a digital world.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people who could benefit from that. And that's what I'm trying to push at the moment, and say, look, you know, I had this experience. These are the numbers, and I've got the numbers down here. So, you know, we should be offering this to other people, because I've got people coming to me now. I had a conversation yesterday with one of the guys, and we went through LinkedIn. And he said, you know, what about this in my about section? And I said, that's too salesy. That aims for a recruiter, not for. And he was like, you're absolutely right. And I said, are you looking for a new job? And he said, no. So I showed him mine, and I said, look, mine is still work in progress, but this is what I put. And he was like, okay, yeah, I completely get it. So there are people who need that kind of feedback and coaching.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, so that's what I'm working on at the moment, to get to get somebody to say, okay, you know, we are talking about helping us oldies, So let's put something in place. There's something which obviously clearly works. So why not replicate that? Or, so yeah, work in progress.
Yeah, and it always is. It's a living, breathing thing. One's LinkedIn kind of profile. It absolutely is. Yeah. So I appreciate it. Okay, so we're right on the time. Right on the time now. Listen, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or I think
no, I just want to say, look, thank you so much. I really appreciated the help you've given me and building the confidence. Because it is something very, very new to me. Well, it's not so much new now, but no, thank you. It's helped me a great deal, and as I said, it increased my pipeline, that's what we set out to do. And once I've got, as I said to you, once I've got the discipline in place and everything, then I will see what works and which areas I need further help, which no doubt there will be.
There always is for me too.
There always is. So I certainly will be in touch.
Thank you.
Don't go far. Don't go far.
Certainly won't. But listen, Susanne, thanks once again, and it's been fantastic working with you as well. Connecting back after a few years, it's really, really fantastic, and I'm thrilled to see the journey that you've made over the last few months as well. That's a real privilege to witness. So thank you again. Listen, just informally, if there's anything else you want to message me back about anything in particular we've been talking about, feel free to do so. And if I would love an intro, clearly, with
absolutely
with Andrew or others within Equinix when the time's right for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the day, Susanne. Thank you.
You too. Cheers. Bye.
Bye now. Bye.